broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everyone. There you go. Turn on your mic. I'd like to call to order the annual organization meeting of the Village of Council of Royal Palm Beach for March 19th, 2026. I want to welcome everybody here in the council chambers and those who are joining us online. And now I'll ask, if you're able, please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you all for joining us here this evening. Before we proceed with the agenda, we will conduct the swearing in of council members for groups 1, 3, and the office of mayor. So, Madam Clerk, I will turn it over to you to administer the oath.
Yes, Mayor. We'll begin with Group 1, Group 3, and then the Mayor. The microphone on? Okay. And if you will raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Selena Samios,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully
and faithfully
perform the duties of
perform the duties of
Councilwoman for the Village of Royal Palm Beach,
Councilwoman for the Village of Royal Palm Beach,
on which I am now about to enter.
of which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you. And we'll proceed with Group 3. I state your name.
Sylvia Sharps,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and
protect,
defend
and defend
the Constitution of government
the Constitution of government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
of the state, and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully
and faithfully
perform the duties of
perform the duties of
Councilwoman for the Village of Royal Palm Beach,
Councilwoman for the Village of Royal Palm Beach,
on which I am now
of which I am now
about to enter.
about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Amen.
And now we have the mayor.
Okay.
If you'll raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jeff Amara,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and government
of
of the United States
the United States
and the state of Florida,
and the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
of the state,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully
perform the duties of
Mayor for the Village of Royal Palm Beach,
Mayor for the Village of Royal Palm Beach,
on which I am now on which I am now
about to enter.
about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Mary. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you, Diane. Okay, so congratulations to each of you, and thank you all for being willing to serve. We definitely appreciate that. I know the residents of the Village of Royal Palm Beach look forward to our collective service here for the coming period of time. With that said, at this time, I'd like to offer each one of the newly sworn-in members of the council an opportunity to make a few comments if they care to do that. I'll begin with Councilwoman Samios.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. Just wanted to say thank you very much. I appreciate all the support, and I'm looking forward to having the honor of representing you for another 2 years. Thank you.
Councilwoman Sharps, would you care to make a comment?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's greatly appreciated, the support, prayers, and everything. I stand before you with just a heart full of gratitude and renewed commitment to be that representative that I said I would. I am not titled the People Petition for nothing, because it is about the people. Being reelected to a second term on the council is an honor, and I will enjoy doing it, and I will work hard at it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you both. I have a few comments myself. First of all, I want to start with thank you. Thank you to the residents of Royal Palm Beach. Thank you for your trust, your confidence. Serving as mayor actually has been one of the high points of my life. I enjoy it tremendously, and I'm sure we'll enjoy this term as well. And especially a thanks to my wife, Carolyn, my partner, my steady voice of reason. You laugh. You have no idea. I thank her greatly for her patience, which is another one of those things you have no idea. Constant support and always keeping me grounded. Carolyn and I chose Royal Palm Beach because we felt something special when we first came here. This community is a place where so many people feel like they belong. And that doesn't just happen. It's something that actually grows over time, and it has on us. And I'll tell you, it's because of people like the ones sitting up here who are willing to step up and show up and be involved in the community and find out what's going on in the community, and to look after it in its financial aspects, in its parks, in its rec, and all of the other activities that make this such a great place to live. I look forward to working with all my colleagues going forward on the council and to continuing to move the village forward with a focus and with professionalism and with a shared commitment to our residents. I thank you once again. So, with that said, I believe we have cake in the back of the room. So what I will do is to recess the meeting for about 10 minutes, and then we'll reconvene. And I definitely want to take an opportunity to celebrate. This is definitely one of those occasions that doesn't happen very often, and it's worth the celebration. So have at the cake, and be sure to thank the staff, because that's how that cake happened, and we really appreciate that. So this meeting is recessed for about 10 minutes. Yes, can you hear me? Oh, yeah.
They turned it up some.
Yeah, that's good.
Turned it up some.
All right, in a minute, we will reconvene. So if you all haven't had cake, please grab a piece. And if you are planning to stay, please grab a seat. If you're planning to leave, have a great evening. Thanks for coming.
Talk like me.
Oh, we gotta get our picture, yeah.
We got,
Now?
all right, well,
ma'am.
you're going to have a tough time rounding us up.
Doing that now.
Okay, well, I'm not the last one, so.
One more time. I now reconvene the meeting for this evening's council annual organization. The first items on the agenda are the appointments of our village clerk and village treasurer. Well, we make these appointments by council resolution, and after I read each resolution, I'll ask for a motion, a second, and a vote. The first appointment is for the village clerk. The resolution is number 26-07, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, appointing a village clerk. Whereas pursuant to Article 3, Section 6 of the Village Charter, the Village Council shall meet for organization prior to the last day in March of each year following the election. And whereas pursuant to Article 3, Section 7 of the Village Charter, at each such organization meeting, the Village Council shall appoint a village clerk who shall hold office for a term of 1 year and until his or her successor shall be appointed and qualified. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, that Diane DeSanto is hereby appointed village clerk by the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, passed and adopted the 19th day of March 2026. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve regular agenda item number 1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Diane. How many years is that now?
As the clerk, 41 with
20
the
years.
village.
Oh, my gosh. 20 years as clerk and 41 with the city?
Yes.
Can we give her a hand, please? That is fantastic. Thank you for your great service. We
be a good
appreciate
place
that
to work.
enormously. So the next agenda item is the appointment of our village treasurer. And I thought I saw her here. There she is. Thought you might like to be present at the reading of this. This is resolution number 26-08, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, appointing a village treasurer. Whereas pursuant to Article 3, Section 6 of the Village Charter, the Village Council shall meet for organization prior to the last day in March of each year following the election. And whereas pursuant to Article 3, Section 7, the Village Charter, at each such organization meeting, the Village Council shall appoint a village treasurer who shall hold office for a term of 1 year and until his or her successor shall be appointed and qualified. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, that Sharon Almeida is hereby appointed Village Treasurer by the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, passed and adopted this 19th day of March 2026. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to.
Motion to approve agenda item number 2.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Congratulations and thank you for your service. We appreciate that enormously. Okay. All right, our next agenda item will be council liaison appointments. This item is the appointment of council liaison officers for Recreation Advisory Board, Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Education Advisory Board. We'll take these one at a time. We'll appoint council members to our council liaison positions. Our convention or standard operating procedure basically has been to ask the member who filled that position last year if they wish to remain in that position for the coming year. The first appointment is for council liaison officer for the Recreation Advisory Board. I'm sorry, I stumbled all over that one. Last year, that position was held by Councilwoman Rodusky. Do you wish to continue in that position?
Yes, but before I say yes firmly, we talked about last year rotating seats as liaison to these advisory boards. So I'm curious of the people who are serving now, if that is something that we would like to do. Meaning, would you like to stay on planning and zoning? And Mayor, are you still thinking about staying on education?
As a matter of fact, I was.
I'll stay on planning and zoning. I like planning and zoning.
Okay, so there's no movement there. Okay. Would anyone else like to serve on Recreation Advisory Board? I'll open that up.
Or planning.
Wouldn't mind. I've got the most experience on the Recreation Advisory Board. I served for more years than anybody up here on the board. So
I was a liaison for 9 years. I'm not sure if you were there for 9 years.
So,
I was there for 8 years, and I served as a liaison for more than 9 years total. So
okay, so let me help with this. So we have the opportunity to have nominations, right?
Yes,
And I'm hearing like 3 nominations right now.
yes.
I love the fact that Richard wants to step up and Selena wants to step up, so I'm willing to step away and do something different.
Okay.
I think it's healthy that we rotate.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so we have 2 candidates, 2 nominees. I next turn to the council and say, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion to appoint myself as the liaison for the Recreation Advisory Board.
Since we have 2 people that have stepped up, will it be a motion for a vote?
Yes, that's
Okay.
what this
I'd like
is.
to offer a motion for a vote as to who will be,
Well, we've already had one, and Councilwoman Samuels just offered herself
okay.
in a motion to fill that seat.
So there is a motion on the
There is
floor.
a motion on the floor. I'm looking for a second.
Conversation?
I'm sorry?
Second and then a conversation.
Second, then conversation.
Conversation first, unfortunately.
I'm not hearing a second.
No.
Okay, so that motion dies. Do I have another motion?
I'd like to offer a motion that both Councilwoman Samuels and Vice Mayor Richard be voted upon for the appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board.
Suggesting that both?
Well, they vote, we got to vote.
Well, that's,
We can't say we're
so,
gonna-
so the idea is a motion for one or the other.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're faced with when we have
Yes.
two nominees.
Yes, sir.
Am I not correct?
That's correct. And there was a motion for Councilwoman Samios, which failed for lack of a second, so there needs to be another motion.
So I'm looking for another motion to fill that seat.
Okay, I'd like to offer a motion for Vice Mayor Volantis be appointed to the Recreation Advisory Board seat.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Okay, and so it passes 3-2. All right, moving on to the next appointment. That would be to the Education Advisory Board.
Planning and zoning.
I'm sorry, Planning and Zoning, you're right.
Yes, sir.
Planning and Zoning, that position was held by Councilwoman Sharps last year. Do you wish to remain in that position?
I am open for anybody to take it if they care to. I will remain if nobody else wants it. I enjoyed it, but I'm open for someone else to take it.
Okay, anyone else care to nominate themselves to fill that position?
I'll nominate Councilwoman Samios for it.
No, there was some other stuff then I can be the liaison for. Thank you. Sylvia can continue.
Okay, any other nominations?
I'll nominate Councilwoman Sharps.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. And the next liaison position is our Education Advisory Board. I held that position last year, and I'd like to continue to hold that position going forward. So I nominate myself and make a motion that I fill that seat, continue to fill that seat.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any opposed, it passes unanimously. Thank you all very much. The next appointment is to the Western Communities Council. That position is vacant right now. Who would be willing to serve as our liaison officer to the Western Communities Council?
I make a motion to appoint myself for the liaison for the Central Palm Beach County Chamber and the Western Communities Council.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for those two positions. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Next agenda item is the appointment of voting delegates for the Palm Beach County League of Cities. Last year, the primary voting delegate was Councilwoman Rodusky, with each of the remaining council members being appointed as alternates. Councilwoman Rodusky, do you wish to continue in that position?
Yes, I would.
Okay, and let me also ask, do all other council members wish to serve as alternates?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then can I have a motion?
Motion to appoint Councilwoman Radusky as the voting delegate for Palm Beach County League of Cities.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Finally, we appoint our vice mayor for the coming year. We normally rotate this appointment numerically by seat. Last year, Councilman Valentes, who sits in seat 2, filled that position. So by convention, we will turn to Councilwoman Sharps, who fills seat 3, and ask if she is willing to fill that position.
Yes, sir, I am.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to appoint Councilwoman Sharps as vice mayor.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. That completes, I think, our organization meeting. So I will adjourn that meeting and then convene our regular meeting for this evening. I guess officially closing that meeting and opening the next. So we've already done the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll wait until our clerk has finished her duties. So meticulous. We appreciate that. We do, absolutely. So Madam Clerk, let the record show that as a roll call goes, all members of the council are still present.
Yes, Mayor, I will. Thank you.
And that takes us up to reports. So let's begin with Councilwoman Rodusky.
Okay, good evening, everyone. A few items for you. Summer camp signups is happening now. And if you are a resident and have children who you want in summer camp, I suggest do it very quickly because they're filling up. Spaces are filling up. If you are interested in enrolling your child into a sports academy, the registration starts April 1st, and those are going to be filled up as quickly as well. This Saturday is our bike rodeo from, I think it starts at 9 or 8 at Commons Park. And for more information, you can dial 561-753-1232. And then lastly, attending a Palm Beach County League of Cities meeting, the county services department was there, and there are free counseling services for youth and family counseling, group counseling, and all kinds of other services that are free to residents of Palm Beach County. So for counseling information, for more information, it's 561-242-5714. And then I just want to, again, congratulate our newly sworn-in council people. We're glad you're here. And this marks a new historical moment for the Village of Royal Palm Beach, as we have, for the first time, 3 women on council. Women's International Month. So that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Vice Mayor. Vice Mayor, that would be you.
So got to get used to that. Wow. Congratulations to everyone that's just gotten sworn in. Welcome back, Selena. Councilwoman Samuels. I have been to all of our events, and I've also been tasked with going to our new businesses and introducing our council as being there for our new businesses. And I thought about it. I wondered if there was anything that the residents actually want to do or take advantage of that we may not offer here in the Village of Royal Palm Beach. Say if you live in a city and there's no Walmart, or if you live in a city and there's no McDonald's and things of that nature. So I've actually been talking to residents, and so far, everybody seems to be pretty happy with the way things are. There have been a couple of people who would love to be able to go to a play here in town or something of that nature, as far as having events and things like that. But other than that, everything else is basically within driving, range, and they're happy. And then with the new businesses, they would love to be able to invite us to their grand openings. And as I've been telling them, just let us know. I am going to talk to our village manager and see if he will help me maybe tell planning and zoning when people come in for their business licenses in order to do business in the city, if maybe they could tell them when they plan on opening, and they can share that information with us, and then we can show up and welcome them to our village. That's exceedingly important. We need to make sure that they know that we're happy that they're here. And that's all I have at this particular time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Fuentes.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Samios.
Good evening, everyone, again. Actually, we do also have the Green Market on Saturdays, again, right outside from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we are all, council as well as staff, participating in our strategic planning session. And that's the 31st of March through the 1st and 3rd of April. So if you have anything that you would like us to bring up, please let us know. I would also like to ask the council if we can direct our village attorney to draft a resolution rejecting Project Tango, because many of our municipalities surrounding areas are doing that. And I would like to have that on the agenda for the April meeting.
So let's take that into discussion here. How does everybody feel about doing a resolution opposing the data center that are currently proposed for the Arden location.
I read some of the comments that are going to be on the strategic planning session, so are we talking about it then?
Well, the problem is that they would.
Let's not get into a dialogue back and forth. Let's be
it was a
recognized
question.
first. So
He had a question.
your question was
We're not doing it.
whether or not we're going to take it up at the strategic planning session. That would be a proposal, and we could do that, I suppose.
It's just a question.
Okay, that is a way to approach it. All right, Vice Mayor.
Can you answer the question?
Vice Mayor?
I agree with Councilwoman Radusky. Since we're right around the corner from the strategic planning, that way we can come up with the language that, if we decide to do it, come up with the language that we're going to utilize, as well as we'll have more information from the League of Cities and from where they're at with the data center at this particular point. Because they did a really good job, the county did, in their presentation. And I think we'll be able to get more information so that we can have language for that proposed resolution if we decide to do one.
Okay.
So we could discuss it at strategic planning. That's a great idea.
What are your
I
thoughts
agree
on
with
it,
that.
Councilman Pilates?
Well, my first thought is, when is our next council meeting?
After
No,
strategic
may I
planning.
speak? Our next council meeting is April 16th, and the county is
Thank you,
voting on
but,
this on April
so-
23rd.
So, Councilwoman,
Sensitive.
please, don't engage. This is not a conversation. This is a meeting. This is a meeting.
It is a
I'll give you.
conversation.
Okay, we're not
All
gonna
right,
do that.
so
We ain't
so
going
let's
back and
stop.
forth.
Let's
Point
stop
of
right
order.
now. And okay,
Point of order.
I was holding off on doing this, but obviously I need to be able to do this. So, as we begin to work together as a new council, I'd just like to take a moment to remind everybody we follow Robert's Rules of Order to keep our meetings running smoothly and efficiently. That includes requesting recognition before speaking. Is that clear? Is that clear?
I'm going to ask permission before I speak, is that correct?
When we get to council comments on agenda items, I'll recognize each council member in order on each item. I'd simply ask that we keep our comments focused on that item and as concise as possible so everyone has a chance to participate. And I appreciate everyone's cooperation. Okay? Now,
To continue with my comments, my question is, because the meeting is the 23rd. We're having a meeting only a week before then. However, we are having a strategic planning session a couple weeks before
the next meeting.
Yes.
meeting. So it seems as is Councilwoman Radusky's suggestion about bringing it up at the strategic planning session is probably the earliest time we'd be able to get it addressed. And then if we hash it out then and we intend to do something, then can we give direction at a strategic planning session? I don't know. If we could give the direction to the attorneys at the strategic planning session, to me, that seems to be the quickest way that we can sit here and decide what we're going to do. And I want to be more educated on it, but I've read the press and it doesn't look like a good thing. But I have to read more and figure out what's what. But I do agree with Councilwoman Radusky's suggestion that we do it at, is it the first? Is our first session?
Yeah,
on-
first and third.
Instead of, waiting or doing anything until our next meeting.
Okay. Councilwoman Samios?
I ask the village attorney, have you, since you do represent many municipalities, there are several of our surrounding neighbors that already have one drafted, that are you familiar with one?
I've seen one draft so far, so direction at strategic plan, that's no problem to have something turned around.
Okay, then why don't we do that? We'll take it up as a strategic planning item then.
May I ask another question, please? Because then it would we give direction then at the strategic planning session to have it added as an agenda item, because we would need to vote on it okay, thank you.
Okay, did you have anything else? Okay, thank you very much. So at the March 9th Education Advisory Board meeting, we received an excellent presentation by H.L. Johnson School. We always know when the kids are coming because the parking lot's full. what was really the highlight was a young man by the name of Jeremiah. He's a 5th grade student. And he did most of the presentation, actually, with the assistance of the assistant principal. They also did performances from their drama club, which were outstanding. It demonstrated pretty much what the school is all about. It was very impressive. H.L. Johnson went over some of their data that shows that they're continuing to improve in reading and math and science. They have a gifted program. They have STEAM. They have Cambridge Primary. They've also got a VPK program. HLJ is one of our great elementary schools here in Royal Palm Beach for sure. At the meeting, we also learned that Royal Palm Beach High School has applied to add a IB career-related program. Now, we already have and have had for the last 5 years an IB diploma-focused program. This addresses and provides the same kind of rigorous critical thinking education for individuals who are not necessarily going to pursue a 4-year degree. The combination of these two programs, I think, bring extraordinary value to our education excellence in this community. So excited about that. Look forward to hearing more about it. I also want to highlight a few moments of engagement between the Village Council in particular in our schools. Councilwoman Sharps was recognized at the Black History Month Assembly. I just happen to have a souvenir copy here of this. At Royal Palm Beach High School, and we also participated in in the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office School Safety Poster Competition at H.L. Johnson, and finally attended the multicultural program Crestwood Middle School. We got a lot of good things going on. These are great examples, I think, of something simple but important, showing up and representing the village interest in our schools. You know, it doesn't cost us anything except our time. Now, I know everybody can't do it all of the time because a lot of these events take place during the day, and there are conflicts as a result of that. But nevertheless, anytime that any of us can attend these events, it is a worthwhile thing to do. The schools really, really do appreciate it. And I'll be glad to share any information I have about upcoming events with the entire council and encourage them to participate as well. As Jeremiah said so well, when students do better, the community does better. You gotta love it. 5th grader makes a quote like that, right? So we had also, today we had the MPO meeting, which is the Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting. It used to be called the Transportation Planning Agency. Neither one of those two really give a great idea of exactly what's going on in that organization, but what they're responsible for is allocating funds that come from the federal government and from the state, something close to $4 billion over a 5-year period of time, to roads and transportation development within Palm Beach County. So the MPO has a very significant role. They've been participating and helping out considerably with the Countywide Transportation Master Plan. And for anybody who wants to do a little light reading, I brought the book that shows what they've accomplished, the contractor has accomplished so far, in putting together a plan that will hopefully result in an optimum mix of different types of transportation throughout our county to help us deal with that ever-increasing traffic that we all experience every day. That master plan is under contract. That's being run by the county at this point in time. And it has been, actually, the period of performance has been extended so as to allow further information to be integrated. I actually had the opportunity to sit in on one of their technical planning workshops, which gave me some insight into a couple of things that were going on, and we made some suggestions to the county staff, and hopefully we'll see some more work directed toward actually integrating the existing plans that we have for land use and also transportation in each one of our municipalities. So I look forward to seeing more results in that area. I mentioned the MPO meeting this morning. This is the 2nd month in a row that we've had a very lengthy discussion about e-bikes, e-scooters, and golf carts were thrown in there, as a matter of fact. And as the MPO often does, they set up workshops. And there is a safety workshop for e-bikes, e-scooters, and golf carts set up for June the 4th at their office in West Palm Beach. And so I invite any of the members of the council that might be interested in that to participate in it, become a little more informed about what's going on throughout the county. And also, the state legislature has proposed at least one bill that I think is passed that will have some effect on safety and e-bikes and that type of thing going forward. So with that said, speaking of the state legislature, I've asked our village attorney to give us kind of a snapshot of where we are right now since the session was officially completed, although I understand there's some follow-up sessions scheduled.
There is. So I brought with me 412 pages of bills to report to you tonight. Just kidding. It was actually a better session. It ended a little bit in a flurry. It was kind of a bizarre session, but actually fewer bills were actually passed this year than last year, so that's good. The not so good is that some of them are a little bit troubling. So I'm going to hit the highlights for you tonight on just a few of them, and as we do every year, I'll be sending the interim legislative memo hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, if not by the end of the day tomorrow, Monday. And if you have any questions once you get the full and final version, feel free to call me, and then as we always do, once the governor has acted on all the bills, I'll provide the village with the final memo so that you know what's happened with all the bills and what's actually made it into the law and what has not. So the elephant in the room, as you all, I'm sure know, the property tax joint resolutions did not pass. None of them passed. So good news, bad news is the thinking is there's going to be a special session. So the legislature, as you know, didn't pass the budget. They have to reconvene on April 20th to pass the budget and also to do some congressional map redrawing. So that will happen. It's expected that there will be a special session to discuss property taxes. So we'll keep you informed as that progresses, but that's all the information there is at this time. There is a relatively quick turnaround that's needed on that. If something is to make it on the ballot for November, the legislature would have to pass a bill by May. So they're running out of real estate in terms of time because November is going to be here before we know it. With that, I'll jump to a couple of noteworthy bills. This year, finally, the Sovereign Immunity Bill. That's House Bill 145 passed. It's effective October 1st, 2026. It increases the caps. Currently, as you know, they're $200,000 per person, $300,000 per occurrence. The bill increases that to $350,000 per person and $500,000 per occurrence. Good news on the bill that did pass was in a prior amendment, they tried to remove the requirement for a claims bill to be filed to exceed those statutory caps, which would basically have made them not statutory caps. So the claims bill, if there's an exceedance of those statutory caps, the claims bill still has to get filed. So that's good news for local governments. That makes it an additional step to exceed those caps. Next bill, actually two bills, House Bill 1389 and Senate Bill 962 are updates to the Live Local Act. The notable parts for the village are in House Bill 1389, there's an expansion for property that's owned by religious institutions that are more than 3 acres and that have had a religious institution or a public worship building on them for at least 10 years. So that's a new type of use that could be contemplated for an affordable housing project. Good news is that the house of worship has to remain on the property and operational once the Live Local project is developed. So you can't be a church for 10 years, then become a Live Local project and the church goes away. So that's actually a good thing, I think. Some other cleanup items in the bill, which are also good things for any piece of legislation, is definitions of mixed use and also multifamily development so that there's no ambiguity in the law as to what constitutes those projects. There was a sovereign immunity waiver in that bill, which does have implication on the village if there's a determination that there is discrimination based on financing for affordable housing. So kind of nuanced, nitpicky things, but that is a waiver of sovereign immunity for the village. Moving now to House Bill 1329, it's a local government spending bill. Pretty significant implications on your budget process. Most of them are with an eye for transparency, so it changes some time frames. It extends the period from 2 years to 5 years for budgets to be posted on the village's website. Creates some additional administrative burdens in terms of posting on the village's website very specific information that's set forth in the statute. A couple of examples are you have to post your budget in a searchable format. You have to allow people to be able to review historical spending trends, download financial data, view information for multiple municipal departments, division, funds, and financial categories, view and compare revenue and expenditures. So some very specific language in there that village staff is going to have to deal with in terms of making the website conform. One very important change is that it requires within 14 days prior to a final budget being adopted, the local government financial officer has to perform a budget cutting exercise to cut the budget basically by 10%. You don't actually have to adopt a 10% budget reduction, but the finance officer has to go through that exercise. And then notably, they have to either post the report showing that they've gone through that exercise or the recording of the workshop that happens at on the village's website so that people can see that you went through the exercise. Some changes to budget amendment processing and timeframes, and then also an additional requirement for the municipality to prepare quarterly summaries of the compensation of all employees that are funded with appropriations from the village, and also budget development calendar within a specific period. So good things from a transparency perspective, but administratively burdensome things that the village will have to adapt to. Changing gears, House Bill 803, it's a very large bill about building permitting and inspections. A notable part is it mandates the state to come up, the Florida Building Commission to come up with a uniform building permit application. Huge change. Right now, everybody has their own building permit application. So this is a direct mandate that on or before January 1st, 2027, the Florida Building Commission has to come up with a uniform application. It does have to be able to be put into our electronic permitting system. So there is a requirement that they create something that the village and any other local government can use. So that's a good thing from our perspective, but it will mean some pretty big changes. There's also several exemptions in that bill. A noteworthy one is that exempts single-family dwellings from requiring building permits that are having projects that are valued less than $7,500. So exempting out smaller scale work from the permitting requirement. Every year there's building permit implications. This is a big bill. I'll give you everything in the final version. One random one that we haven't talked about in quite a long time is House Bill 929. Provides some prohibitions for the village in terms of chickee huts. Everyone knows what the actual chickee huts are, not just a tiki hut that's put up, but one that's actually constructed by a Seminole or a Miccosukee tribe member. This restricts the local government from prohibiting those in side yards if they're 10 feet from the property line and 10 feet from any other structure. So not a full-on preemption, but they're limiting our ability to control where these go with regard to setbacks. So not great news on that front. There's also some fire prevention those structures as well. I'll leave you with two small bits of good news. They're very hard to parse through in the legislative session these days, but one has to do with something you've already talked about, which is data centers. So there was Senate Bill 484 that passed the legislature. One of the things that's noted in the bill is it says that local governments maintain their authority to exercise their powers and responsibilities for comprehensive planning and land development regulations, so your zoning code, as it relates to what they call large load customers, which are the data centers. So the bill, and if it becomes law, would essentially mean that you still have the power to regulate these to some degree. So that's good news for the village. The final bill to report is, again, just a glimmer of good news. It's House Bill 1085. It's a local government cybersecurity grant program that's being created. So it would allow the village to apply for grants to help defend and mitigate cybersecurity threats. So another revenue source potentially for the village. So I wanted to end with good news. And again, I'll give you the full report hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Village manager, do you have?
No, she covered it all.
She covered it all. And then some. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Didn't miss anybody, right? Got everybody's report? All right. So let's move on to petitions. Are there any petitions come before the council this evening? I don't see any, so I will close petitions, and we'll move on to statements from the public on non-agenda items or consent agenda items.
I do have a few, Mayor. 3 additional ones.
Okay. So the first card that I have is Mary Harden. Ms. Harden, would you come on down and give us your address? State your name for the record.
Mary Harden, I live at 126 Meadowlark Drive.
Can I get you to speak very close to these mics? They are not great at a distance.
Test, can you all hear me? Mary Harden, 126 Meadowlark Drive.
Great, thank you.
How many are there? 1, 2, 3. I have packages. Can evening, Mayor, council, men and women. I'm here tonight to talk to you about a capital improvement project, EN 1902, that I happened to come across looking for the paving schedule of my street. So the packages that I've given you, the first package is of a site plan for Commons Park access. Okay? This is capital improvement projects from 2019. It is to allow access to the park through my property. Okay? There's a site plan there. I reached out to the village engineer, Christopher Marsh, regarding this issue because I was never notified that this was going to take place or it was even on the agenda. I've been living in the village 27 years at this residence. I lived on the park when it was a golf course. So I've lived through trials and tribulations of what went on behind my house. Well, if you look at package number 1, it's highlighted, there's a budget. That was stated for buying property to make an access point into Commons Park. Package 2, now I found that approximately 14 days ago. After I made contact with the village engineer, he said he would talk to the village manager about this issue. I wasn't notified, my neighbors weren't notified. I found this by accident. This is my house, my property. I should have been notified. Went back into the website to check the capital improvement EN 1902 again after making contact with the engineer, and the site plan has now changed. That's in package 2. So has the description of the capital improvement project. It's now to buy easement to make access into the park. Again, my property is involved. The last page is my house and my neighbors. There is a utility easement there. We do have our water lines, and we also have sewer lines. We have one in the front. We have one.
Go ahead and finish, please.
We have one in the backyard, and we have one right outside the fence. Okay? Now, my question is, does this scope of this project exceed the legal scope of the easement? If it's a utility easement, it would have to be changed to make it a corridor to walk into the park. My first question. My second question is, as a resident, what about my privacy? I've already had people, I love the park, it's been wonderful. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed out there that need to probably be addressed, different issue.
Right.
I've had property, since the park has opened, I've had property stolen from my locked gates. Now I find this, and I would like answers. I would like answers. It's been on the capital improvement since 2019. I just came across it. We're in 2026. So I know the council has to be aware of this because it came up for budget each year. And the budget did increase this year to $500,000 as opposed to $250,000.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And I'm sorry that you haven't felt better informed on this thing. You should be.
I wasn't informed at all, sir. Not at all.
No doubt. So once again, we'll reach out again and see if there's any further conversations that we might be able to have, but there hasn't been any decision made going forward on this. So we will do a better job of keeping you posted on it. Did you have something?
I can explain it a little bit. We didn't notify any of the property owners on the plans that we created for connecting parks to neighborhoods. We have probably 10 or so of these potential connections out there. We brought one to the council back in 2019 maybe, or maybe 2018, where we were looking at acquiring the land and tearing the home down and making an access point, and the council voted against it. And you made it clear that you're not interested in buying homes, even if it is a willing seller, willing buyer transaction, to put these paths in. So what we did is we did show the paths between homes. And in her area, it looks from the aerials about the largest between two homes. It doesn't have to be between her home. It could be if there's areas around somebody. If somebody in that area was willing to sell us an easement for access, then it would become an access. If nobody is willing to sell us an easement for access, then it won't be an access. It's our way of putting it on a plan, and if the property owner is willing to work with us and take some money for an easement, then we can spend money. Otherwise, we have to plan it first before we can spend the money or even get grants for it. If the property owner does not want it there, it will not happen. Unless you guys go through condemnation and you've made it very clear that you're not going to do that. So this is for illustrative purposes of where a approximate desired location would be. And we did not contact all the property owners out there of these, because it may not be her property. If her neighbor saw that and said, well, would you be interested in buying it next to me, and it was acceptable, then we would, and it was close enough, or run three doors down, and if it was close enough. That's what they're for. And it can be, the access can be on top of a utility easement.
Can I just?
We really don't want to get into a lengthy discussion about this tonight.
That I want you, in the package I gave you, that last page is an overview of my property. I'm literally on the curb. I have the smallest part between any house on Meadowlark Drive. That's all I'm going to say. Look at the paperwork, and please think about if it was your property, how you would feel. End of the conversation.
Right,
Thank you.
understand. Thank you very much. Okay, the next comment card we have is from Sue Loisel. Did I get that right? Yes, you did. All right, that's amazing. So if you'd state your name and your address for the record, please.
Hello, is that good? Hello, my name is Sue Ellen Loisel, 19711 Weather Vane Way in Loxahatchee. I'm here today to talk to you about the Project Tango resolution that I sent to you, Mayor, on March 3rd. And I wanted to also disclose I'm the former vice mayor of the town of Cutler Bay, so that I don't like to keep that hidden. I want to share that. So on behalf of the Western Palm Beach Community Alliance and the surrounding communities affected by Project Tango, as I stated, I sent the template on March 3rd to formally request the support. I am here bringing this item to you, and I think this solution that you came up with about the strategic plan is enough time, as long as you vote on it before the April 23rd. We wanted to take the resolutions from all these communities. We have Wellington, we have other communities putting together the resolutions. I sent you a template so you could have language already and work from that. So everyone's tweaking them for their communities. Every community is different. And so we really appreciate your time and energy and putting this a part of your strategic plan. And if you need any of our experts to come at your strategic plan, we would be glad to be there to explain the situation. And it just doesn't only affect Arden, even though it's next to Arden. This is really wide, especially with our water uses, if anyone's on wells, the electricity, the humming, the low frequency, and the proximity of it being so close to schools and neighborhoods. So we would like to share that with you at a private meeting, one-on-one, if you want more information, or we could come to your strategic plan. I truly, truly appreciate your time, Mayor, Council, and Vice Mayor, and also your newly elected officers. So I know, I appreciate your service. I know your jobs are very busy and a lot going on, and I applaud you in your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. The next comment card I have is Claudette. I'm not even going to try. Reifenberg? Wow. If you'd state your name and your address, please, for the record.
Good evening. My name is Claudette Reifenberg. I live at 128 Meadowlark Drive in Royal Palm Beach. That's in the Willows. My neighbor, Mary Harden, spoke just previously. I do want to express my concerns about what we discovered with respect to your capital project EN 109. And I appreciate the village manager's comments about the fact that the council already determined that you are not going to condemn anyone's property or move towards eminent domain, because I can promise you, you would have had quite the fight on your hands if that had been the case. I also appreciate the comment that he made about the illustrative value of the plans that we see online. However, I call into question the ethics of identifying multiple properties where such an easement access or other access to the park would be made, and no one being notified of that. I was not notified. I received no notification. And I don't think that is ethical or proper. I want to say that I love the park. It's my favorite park, and I tell people about it all the time. It's my park. That's how I think of it. I have some issues with it, though. The original plans called for a berm between the properties and the park. There's no berm. Instead, what I have now is a walkway and disc golf course, which affects my quiet enjoyment of my property, because I have people attempting to climb over my fence, break my gate, come through my gate, release my dogs to the park. I've had things missing from my backyard, and I put up with all of that. But this easement business, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Because theft is a problem for the homes along the park. So I'm going to encourage you all, whenever this comes up, for further consideration, that before you do anything else, the potentially affected, impacted homeowners be notified with due notice, so that they can get together or come to talk to you individually, whatever the case might be, and let their thoughts be known. Since this is a public meeting, let me say here that I'm not interested in selling my property for easement or anything else. I plan to be there until the end of my days. I've been at that property 29 years, almost 30. My husband died there, okay? So when you decide you want to get people to get to the park, you can parachute them in, but you're not coming through my property.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Okay. I have another card here that only has a first name, I guess, James. Come on down. If you give us your full name and your address, that would be good for the record.
James Councilman, 333 Sandpiper Avenue. And I want to echo some of the comments prior on the capital project, EN 1902. Live off of Sandpiper there. Got some information on this, looked it up online, and read the other paperwork. Got a yellow line going right over my house. A little concerning about that. It looks like it'd be a poorly thought out plan too. I mean, the benefit of this is specifically across the canal. So if we're talking about a bridge to go from Village Hall right here where we're standing to the splash pad pretty much, you're talking about a distance of 1.2 miles. And that yellow line across my house is going to save you 0.3 miles of distance. So for that cost, I don't know if that's really worth the cost to the taxpayer. I mean, the saving 0.3 of a mile, you're talking about 4 or 5 different residential properties and easements, buying properties. You're talking about design and permitting of the bridge. Bridge construction costs alone there, and then you're going to provide pedestrian access to Sandpiper Avenue, which people can't even slow down on. We can't even get speed bumps out there. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have street lights, you're going to have pedestrian crosswalks, both on Sparrow and Sandpiper. You're going to need trash cans, doggy stations. You're going to have all kinds of recurring maintenance costs. This stuff needs to get thought out. And if you're talking about an easement, I can reach out my side window and touch my neighbor's fence. I don't know how you're going to get a walkway through there. It doesn't make any sense to me. And instead of spending money on this new bridge on this north side of the park, trying to connect from Village Hall to the splash pad to the Commons Park, instead of spending money on a bridge, we already got a bridge, Goldfinch Boulevard. There's a bridge right there. It's a nice bridge. You can add on to it. Make that a nice bridge. Do what you guys did on Sparrow across the M1. Beautiful, beautiful bridge there. Beautiful pedestrian walkway. It makes a lot of sense. You already got it there. You're talking about the difference between 1.2 miles and 0.9 miles. Let's add on to what we have and make it nice. Put some street lights up, crosswalks, And then what's left over, the money left over from not building a brand new bridge, that money left over, let's put more deputies on the road. You got people breaking
sorry,
into cars.
would you say that again? I
Put more
couldn't-
deputies on the road, you know?
Oh, okay.
You got
All right.
people breaking into cars. There's boat motors getting stolen all around the canals. You got, I mean, let's just spend money where it's more useful than building a pedestrian bridge and dealing with properties and people coming to your meetings, taking up time, giving you an earful. I mean, this is ridiculous. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate the information from the village manager.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we've had some of that conversation that you shared with us several years ago, as a matter of fact. So thank you all very much. I appreciate you bringing it up. I'll tell you, as far as I'm concerned, we're not taking any homes to do anything like that. So that's not a concern that you should have. But we need to do a better job of keeping everybody engaged and informed. So is there anybody online that has any comments on non-agenda or consent agenda items?
No, Mayor.
Okay, not seeing any. And then I will close the floor to the public comments on non-agenda, consent agenda items, and we will go to the consent agenda. Just by public service announcement, all right? For anyone in the public who doesn't know, the reason we have a consent agenda is that it contains routine items that will be approved together unless a council member pulls an item for discussion. Actually, I forgot to ask, that reminds me, are there any Royal Palm Beach High School students who are participating in our youth civic leadership program with us tonight? I have one too. All right, great. Don't forget to register back there so you get credit for attending this evening, all right? And if you all want to stick around after the meeting, we can talk about what took place during the meeting and then answer any of your questions. So feel free to do that. Thank you for coming this evening. So, all right, now to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Thank you. Number 1, approval of the minutes of the council regular meeting of February 19th, 2026. 2, approval and authorization to purchase a John Deere 5100E cab tractor from Everglades Equipment Group in an amount not to exceed $69,450.23 by piggybacking the Sourcewell purchasing contract number 082923DAC. AG Tractors with related attachments, accessories, and supplies. 3, fiscal year 2025 annual comprehensive financial report. And 4, approval of the bid award in the amount of $337,507 and authorization for the village manager to execute a contract with the lowest responsible bidder for all access playground, PR 2505, to DW Recreation Services.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Does any member of the council wish to pull any agenda item from the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull item 3, please, Mr. Mayor.
Item 3. Okay.
Wait, 4.
He's right.
Here's the financial
3, I think it
plan.
is.
4.
Sorry.
Yes, okay. Talking about the
Yes,
all access playground? All right. Anyone else care to pull any agenda items?
I'll pull consent agenda item number 3.
Okay. So with those two pulled, I'll entertain a motion to approve the remaining 2 agenda items on the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda items number 1 and 2.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda items 1 and 2 pass unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's begin with, let's do it numerically. Consent agenda item number 3. Councilwoman Samios.
Here to introduce our auditors.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. We have our auditor here that's going to go through the 2025 fiscal year annual financial report. I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Village Council, Village Manager, meeting attendees. My name is Mo Riza, and I'm with the firm of CBIZ CPAs. And as part of today's agenda, you should have received a copy of the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2025. I'm going to go over certain sections, so if you'd like to follow along, I'll make reference to the printed page number. And if you turn with me to printed page 1, you'll find our auditor's report. And we start off in the independent auditor's report by mentioning what we audited. And we audited the financial statements of the village for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2025. And then the second paragraph provides our opinion. In terms of a financial external audit, we conclude by providing an opinion on the financial statements. So it reads that in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above of the village present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the village as of September 30th, 2025. In essence, that is known as an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. And as a council, this is the only opinion you want to be associated with. In terms of a financial external audit, is the highest regard that one could receive. So congratulations to the council, the finance department, and the village manager. Subsequent to the independent auditor's report, if you turn with me to printed page 4, on printed page 4, you'll find the management discussion and analysis. And this document, this annual comprehensive financial report, is 110 pages. And this section, the MD&A, starts on printed page 4 all the way to printed page 10. And these 6 pages, I would recommend, if you're going to read a certain section of the document, you read these 6 pages. These 6 pages summarize the activity of the village for the fiscal year. And the nice thing about the MD&A is that it's written by the finance department, and it compares fiscal year 24 versus fiscal year 25. It provides quantitative information, fluctuation analysis, and it also provides the underlying justification of what's driving your financial ratios and data points. So again, that starts off on printed page 4 and takes it to printed page 10. The other report I wanted to go into is in the back of the annual comprehensive financial report on printed page 96. On printed page 96, we have our auditor's report on internal controls over financial reporting. We mentioned on printed page 96 and define and educate the readers of what are deficiencies in internal controls, but glad to report at the bottom of printed page 96, we mentioned we did not identify any deficiencies over internal controls. And then on printed page 97, yes, we are performing a financial audit, a financial external audit, which prioritizes and focuses on the completeness and accuracy of financial statements. But we also do perform compliance testing. We perform compliance testing over laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements. And as mentioned here, we have no items of non-compliance to report. If we had items of non-compliance to report, we're not allowed to do it on a verbal manner or communicate those to you in a verbal manner. We have to do it in writing, and we would use this report to do so. But as mentioned, there was no items to report. This document was released to the elected body on March 6th, and on that day, we also released our communication letter to those charged with governance. And that letter covers if we had any disagreements with the finance department or the village manager in terms of recording and capturing accounting transactions, or if we had any difficulties in performing the audit. Our team composed about 6 individuals that were involved in the audit, and I want to thank the village manager, Mr. Ray Liggins, as well as the director of finance for helping us. We started the process in October. So it takes a long time to perform the audit. We not only look at the financial statements, but we look at internal controls. So we ask a lot of questions and request a lot of information. So I thank them for helping us and assisting us and letting us do what we were required to do or engaged to do, which was complete the financial audit. That's pretty much a summary, and I'll open up to any questions you may have.
Councilwoman Samuels, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, no.
No questions? Vice Mayor, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, but I am just so proud, like a proud peacock of our finance department, our village manager, our auditors. I am one proud individual. You do a really great job, and thank you so much.
Councilwoman Rodewski? Nothing? Can I borrow that? The other one. So thank you very much for the audit. We know we can rely on this every year. It looks pretty consistent, so it looks like over the years, our finance department's done a fantastic job, especially under our new finance director's lead. This is my favorite late night reading. Well, it says right here, popular annual financial report. And not only is it an excellent document, and there are a couple of tweaks we can make to it, but it also serves well in talking to residents, talking to legislators about how we spend our money, how we manage our money. And I've done it a couple of times, and they're very impressed with it, and that helps us in dealing with some of the legislative activity underway. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for the report. We appreciate that greatly. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Look for a motion, then approve.
Thank you, Sharon, to you and your team. We really appreciate all the hard work. So I make a motion to approve consent agenda item number 3.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. The action item, or the agenda item number 3 is passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you again.
Thank you, and I would like to thank the council as well as my staff and our auditors. This couldn't happen without everybody's teamwork, the department directors and village managers, so I appreciate all your help.
Great, thank you again. Okay, that takes us to consent agenda item number 4. That would be
me.
That would be you.
I just wanted to, first of all, thank the council and all the staff for all the good work we've done on this. This is something that has been a long time coming. This didn't just happen, one day. This has been years and years and years of progressing on this to provide an amenity for some of the most, needy and vulnerable in our community. I'm glad the council agreed with me and saw the merit in this ultimate conclusion, and then, it's a great idea, but then the funding, being able to pay for it, of course, is another aspect of it. But I think this is going to be a fabulous addition to Commons Park, and if it wasn't for all my colleagues here on the council and all the hard work done by staff to, find someone able to do it and to do it so that people of all abilities will be able to use this, I think it's going to be a great asset to our community, and just thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve consent agenda item R4, or C4.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes as well unanimously. Thank you very much. We can move to the regular agenda at this point. The first item on the regular agenda is Ordinance 1070. I will read it into the record. Public hearing for second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1070, amending Chapter 10, Finance and Taxation, including updates to the village investment policy and clarification of purchasing authority. Is there a staff presentation for that?
It is the second reading. Is Sharon coming out?
She is now.
Mr. Mayor, while she comes out, if I could read the title, I'll sneak that in real quick while she's coming out. As you said, it's ordinance number 1070, an ordinance of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 10, Finance and Taxation of the Village Code of Ordinances at Section 10-51, Investment Policies, in order to provide for the adoption of an amended investment policy for the village and to remove the page number reference, and at Section 10-94, Delegation of Purchasing Authority to remove reference to select staff and add designee language, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 10, Finance and Taxation, shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Okay, thank you to the staff. Ms. Almeida.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As the attorney said, this is a second reading. Nothing has really changed. This was just taking our investment policy and bringing it up to compliance with the legislative changes, as well as just combining everything and making it more a more readable document, and then making some minor changes in our purchasing authority.
Okay, thank you. I'll open up the floor to public comment on regular agenda item number 1. Does anyone care to comment? Do we have any cards? We have no cards. Any hands raised?
No, Mayor.
Anybody in the room care to comment on regular agenda item number 1? I'm not seeing any, then we'll close the floor to public comment. The village attorney has already done her job. I'll open it up to council. Let's begin with Councilwoman Samios. Any comments? Councilman Valentis?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Sharps?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Rodesky?
No comment.
All right, I have no comments as well. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, Vice Mayor Sharps, I'd like to offer a motion to approve regular agenda item number 1.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, item number 2, Recreation Center. I'll read item number 2 into the record. This item is for approval and authorization for the village manager to enter into a contract price amendment with Kaufman Lynn Construction for the Recreation Center expansion and renovation project, establishing a guaranteed maximum price of approximately $20.1 million. It's a lot of money. I'll ask the staff to tell us more about the project and what a guaranteed maximum price means during the staff presentation, if we can get that.
I'm going to start with, I got way too much credit on the fiscal report, I'm telling you. I meet with them in the very beginning of October, and then I really don't hear anything from there on out. And it goes very smoothly with the finance department. So since I got so much credit the last time, I'm going to shift credit this time to Chris Marsh. He's not here. He would have been here. If you remember, this was on the agenda last month. We took it off at the last minute because we were still crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's and getting all the percentages exact and getting all the documentation exactly correct. And as much as he wanted it approved last week, we didn't have that all done right before the meeting, so we did pull it, and it's on tonight's meeting. He unfortunately couldn't make it here because the schools are on break and they're on a family vacation. He might be listening to it. I don't know. He's in Paris where you were the last time you were gone, but he said he's not going to give a report on his Paris trip. So, but he has put a lot of hours into this project. This has been this is one of our largest projects, and it's proven to be pretty challenging. We started this project in 2022 by awarding the design to Dow Howell Gilmore. Unfortunately, the company closed before we got the design finished. We took the 60% plans that we had and we put it out on the street for a design build to finish the design and to build the project. That did not result in a successful contractor to build it because there was just too many open-ended questions that wouldn't give us a bid that we could reliably manage and know what the final cost would be. So what Chris did from there is changed it to a design progressive build. So what that is the first step is selecting a contractor based on qualifications. Kaufman Lynn was the contractor selected. Their team included an architect, PGAL. We've never worked with them before, but we really enjoyed this experience this last 8 months working with them. They took that set of plans and they made it a lot better. They did a really good job in looking at everything on that and coming up with the best floor plan and incorporated changes that probably would save us a lot of money in the construction. They were awarded that in, I think, December of was it December of last year? They were awarded that last year. Let's see, the request for qualifications. No, Kaufman Lynn had gotten it in July. The end of July, they were awarded. Over the past year, they working with their consultants, they have a final set of plans. I think I just saw an email the other day saying they have the building permits. And that was part of this phase that we entered into with them last year. So they're ready to start construction within 30 days. It is the council's option whether you continue with them with construction. In order to do that, this agreement would have to be approved. This is in the form of a guaranteed maximum price, where what we do is we take the competition of the contractors, of the actual contractor, out of the bidding process. We pick them based on qualifications. But the 15 work elements within the contract, Kaufman Lynn has to bid them, and we have it in here where they have to use a minimum of 3 bids on there. So that's where the competitiveness still stays in the project. To move forward, though, we have to agree on a guaranteed maximum price, and that's what this number is here. Instead of when you do a design bid, you start with a low price and then hope that it goes smoothly, which, as you know, it does not usually go as smoothly as a guaranteed maximum price. You're starting at the top end, and if there's savings within the project based on the bids, based on the prices that they get during the project, then there is contingencies in here, and the savings would be realized by the village. The good thing about this is the risk is closer to when the money is being spent. When we do a design bid, there could be work that's not going to take place for a year, and that risk has to be put in the cost. When you were doing it this way, and you're getting the price more closer to the work being performed, you take that risk out, and we both benefit. The contractor benefits from that, and we can benefit from that. The guaranteed maximum price we have in front of you is $20,121,046. The timeline that was part of this contract too, that they had to provide in this part, is 17 and a half months. The way it was broken up was the first 12 months will be construction of the addition. And to put that in perspective, Village Hall here is at 25,000 square feet. The addition is 25,000 square feet. That will be from March to March. The second part of the project is renovating the existing. The existing rec center is 32,000 square feet, and it includes also the school. The school, not wanting to suspend the school year at all, we have them doing the work in the 2 summers. When the addition is completed and they move towards doing the renovations, we are going to close the entire building. They'll have that 6 months to do those renovations without anybody there. The addition will be done with the rec center open, but the renovations will be done they'll have the whole building to themselves. That's the project. That's the schedule. Mark has a little bit of a slideshow here. The first page was kind of describing the schedule there, and he has some pictures of the floor plans and the outside of the building.
Yeah, I've got a copy of it. I didn't bring it.
All right, so on to the fun stuff. All right, what is this building going to look like, and the future that we have in front of us to give us a great opportunity to be able to serve our residents long into the future from what we're currently offering, and what we'll be able to expand our offerings that's going to affect everybody from 2-year-olds to 90-year-olds. So the first one is just some renderings of the buildings. I know sometimes when you're over there, it's kind of hard to see because this is the building stripped away of all the landscaping, and we're in the middle of Preservation Park, so there's a lot of landscaping around there, but you do get some orientations to how the building would look from the different sides of the building. This is actually a pretty nice 3-dimensional building, so we do have these drawings in the rec center right now for display for the public. So this one does show a pretty good illustration of just especially like the 2 gyms, how the second one is basically mimicking the same square footage as the original gym that's there. And the new wing is to the lower part of the picture here as it goes around to the back and connects to the new gymnasium. Here's some interior renderings. This is what an illustration of what the new lobby is going to look like. So right now when you walk in, we have like a temporary front counter to the left, but we're actually going to get rid of that, and we'll have some more open space in the front lobby. Obviously, we expect to have a lot more visitors coming and going in the rec center in the future. And then from there, actually in this illustration, off to the left, it looks like 2 brown doors. That takes you into the new wing of the rec center. This is the fitness room. So I know I think it was last meeting, we had a couple residents come in with concerns about being closed, and just so that they know that where they end up is going to be much better than where they are right now, and actually have some windows to the outside, and they won't feel like they're enclosed in a closet. So the waiting will be worth it when they can get back into this type of space. And again, here's just an outline illustration of inside the red box is the addition, and the rest of that is the current building space. Just one feature that's not necessarily shown on here is we do include a restroom that's accessible from the outside, so that anybody, users of the park, so it's just not the people in the building, so even when the building's like, particularly like on a Sunday when we have limited hours, so if you're out playing pickleball outside or basketball or at the skateboard park and you need to use a restroom, you don't have to go all the way over to the soccer complex to use a restroom. So there will be a restroom accessible from the outside. And that's right there in that new wing as well. And I got two more. Basically, I would just cut that last illustration in half just with a little more detail on there. That's mostly the existing building with the new gym, and then this is the new space. The new program room wing can handle up to 200 people seated at one time. Right now, we're maxed at 150 in any one space. So, and it also can be divided into 3 separate spaces. It's got an attached kitchen, and there's restrooms in that area as well. We definitely have planned for plenty of restrooms in the existing space and in the new space. And there's going to be a good flow to the building, too. So I think the architects did a great job of understanding what the plans were that they inherited and then work to make it better. So I will reiterate what Ray said about Chris Marsh. He definitely drove this ship. I mean, there was a lot of detail involved, and he's on top of it. And these guys can attest that he keeps them on their toes. So we do have some representatives from Kaufman Lynn here tonight. I think it's Chris and Michelle. Yes, sir. And I think they're willing to come up and say a few words as well.
Thank you, Mark.
And then obviously I'm available for any kind of questions today, tomorrow, into the future, during the project, anytime. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we do know where to find you, Mark. Would either of you two gentlemen care to say anything about the...
Before Michelle gets up, even though we didn't get started building it in 23, 24, the other advantage we had by the waiting is having Mark on board. So he's been on board during this total redesign process and has gotten an opportunity to see how the rec center operates, how we want it to operate it going forward, and that's been valuable too. So there's a lot of good out of the wait. It's hard waiting this long for such a good project, but it's going to be well worth it.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
It's been a pleasure working with your staff, especially Chris Marsh, Mr. Liggins, Mark. It's been since July, pretty much since this summer. My team, our architect, our design team, we meet every week. We go through all the details. So to arrive to that point in such a short amount of time, within budget, I think it's been a real pleasure working with you guys. The real pleasure that we find is going to be in construction, and you're going to see it really, from the drawings into the real life building. And in a short amount of time, I think it's going to be a great addition for the residents of Royal Palm Beach.
Fantastic. We're glad to have you on board. I understand that you've done other projects like this, at least the company has. Is that correct?
I think it's the best way to achieve what you guys want from the design point of view and the budget as well. So what we do during design, we know your budget and we give you, this is where the budget is going. What allows me to do is, from the construction management point of view, you don't let the architect go wild. Sometimes the architects go into the design and they design all kind of stuff, and by the time you see the budget, you can afford it, right? So that's where construction management firm like ours, the Kaufman Lynn, comes into play. We manage all that process together with the village, and ultimately we come to this place. So you have a design that you really like, and we're going to build it within the budget that you guys are.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle's being modest. When we selected their company under the qualifications portion of it, I think they had over 50 past projects similar to this that they had accomplished.
So we do, Kaufman Lynn we do about $500 million a year. We do GMP, we do design build, but it's our preferred method. It's design build because, like I said, it gives both parties
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the comments. I'm going to turn to the public for comments at this point in time, then we'll come back to the council and see if any of the council members have any questions or comments. So I'll now open the floor to public comment. Are there any cards?
No, Mayor.
Hands raised?
No, Mayor.
Anybody here care to comment on this regular agenda item number 2, the rec center? Not seeing any. Well, I'll close the floor to public comment, and then I'll turn to the council. Let's begin with Councilwoman Samios.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Very familiar with the work that Kaufman Lynn has done around the county, so very impressive. Thank you very much.
Okay. Councilman Flores? Vice Mayor?
No comments, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Rodowski?
No comment.
Okay, well, my only comment is, well, I got a couple of things. One is the village manager mentioned the delay kind of worked out well for a number of reasons. And one of the other aspects of formulating the requirements for this building, I understand, was a pretty good surveying mechanism of contacting the people who currently use our facility and finding out what they think about adding on and refurbishing. And you got any comments about that?
Yeah, we certainly took plenty of public comments right down to the fixtures in the bathrooms. So there was no detail that wasn't even considered. And like you said, it's amazing how many weekly meetings we had. I think we're already in like several 60, 70 meetings that we've had already planning this. 70, yeah, I know, it's like a crazy number. That was a crazy number. So, and each week, whatever the detailed questions are, we bring them up, we discuss them, they come back the next week and report on them, so.
Okay. Yep. All right, thank you. Well, I think this is a really solid investment and under an interesting structure that we'll get some firsthand experience with, and it sounds like it's worked in other places. Any further discussion? Not seeing any, then I will entertain a motion.
To approve regular agenda item number 2.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any opposed. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. We look forward to it. Okay, that moves us along to regular agenda item number 3, which is a change order on our road resurfacing. I'll read that item into the record. Approval and authorization for the village manager to execute change order number 3 with R&D Paving for additional asphalt leveling, curb restoration, and roadway repairs within the project limits in an amount not to exceed $217,670.89. Turn to the village manager.
Okay, so we have a lot of resurfacing going out there. 40% of our roads are within the contract. Within actually 3 separate contracts to have the roads resurfaced. There's one contract that's just La Mancha that has under drain and resurfacing, and that was with a grant for $600,000. There's another one for a little over $4 million that includes under drain and resurfacing in La Mancha. And then there's this next one is just over $9 million, and that's what this change order is within. In this particular one, what we ran into, our assumption on our roadways was that there's at least 1.25 inches of asphalt on them. They were laid with 1.5 inches. When we milled 3/4 of an inch off, in a lot of cases we didn't have anything left, or what was left kind of raveled up because it was so thin. And we could not put a new surface back on top of that. So what we had to do was put leveling courses on the rock that was left. And that's a big portion of this. The other portion of this change order is Royal Palm Beach Boulevard. When we originally designed Royal Palm Beach Boulevard, we knew we're next to Veterans Park, where we had 2 palm trees in a planter area right next to the tree, that they've lifted the curb and lifted the road and got a lot of roots into the road, and that needed to be redone. Once we got into it, we realized that where the single palm trees are on the west side of the road, and next to the synagogue and next to the fire station and up near Village Hall, where there was only one tree, that there was a lot of encroachment into the roadway base and the curb there too, and we had to repair that. So that was added to this contract, and the leveling course was added to this contract. They were both unit costs that were within the contract, so they're still competitively bid. It's just an extension of the quantity. So that's what we have in front of you, and we would like you to approve.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open it up to public comment. Any cards?
No, sir.
On this agenda item? Any hands raised?
No, Mayor.
Anyone in the audience care to comment on regular agenda item number 3, this change order? Not seeing any, I'll close the floor to public comment. I'll turn to the council. Let's begin again with Councilwoman Samuels, Councilman Valentis,
Comments, sir?
Vice Mayor Sharp.
I no stranger to doing projects, and as I told our village manager, I hate change orders, but I really am grateful to you for giving me the information that you did so I could calm down, because I missed a night of sleep because of that. But it's good to see this going to get finished.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Rodowski.
No comment.
Okay, I don't have any comments beyond the fact that it sounds like these were somewhat unforeseen conditions. I was surprised because usually roots are a problem for various other trees, hardwoods and that kind of thing, not for palms. But as you pointed out, this is a royal palm and it's quite a large tree, and so it's one of those unique kind of considerations. So I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion for approval of regular agenda item number 3.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not opposed? I see no opposed, rather. Agenda item number 3 is passed unanimously. Thank you very much. And the last agenda item, pension board appointment. I will read that into the record. Pretty simple. Appointment of Chris Wax to pension plan board. Would you care to comment on that?
Our pension board, we have had a vacancy for quite some time. There wasn't any interest in a long time, and this employee showed an interest, and I think we should appoint her to the board.
Okay, thank you. I was going to ask you if she said she was willing to.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, so that's good. So I'll open it up to public comment again. Are there any cards?
No, Mayor.
Are there any hands raised?
No, Mayor.
Anyone in the audience care to comment on regular agenda item number 4? Not seeing any, I'll close the floor to public comment, and I'll turn to the council for their comments. Councilwoman Samios? Councilman Valentis?
No, sir.
Vice Mayor?
No, sir.
Councilwoman Rodowski?
I'm glad she's stepping up.
Well said. And that would include my comment as well. So I appreciate her willingness to do that. So I'll entertain a motion on this 4th regular agenda item.
I make a motion to approve regular agenda item number 4.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any opposed. That agenda item passes unanimously. Is there any other business to come before the council this evening? Not seeing any. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that my daughter is sitting there with my 2 grandbabies, and they're paying close attention because one day they're going to be sitting on a diet.
So noted. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.